I didn't set out to create content solely centered around Star Wars. It sort of just happened. Identifying the genesis of a thing can be a complex process of compartmentalizing all the various elements of the identified subject matter and then carefully dissecting each aspect to derive at a conclusion. This is just a fancy way of saying, I obsess over Star Wars, therefore I am. Or in my case, therefore I make. I find that creating both practically impractical objects based on this obsession, as well as objects that have no practicality at all, to fuel my soul. It gives me the much needed artistic expression that often brings me inner peace. Now, if this is too dramatic for you, my artsy-fartsy explanation as to why I'm spending countless hours tinkering away in my nerd fort, then maybe we need to elaborate a bit to help you identify and understand where a chubby geek like me is coming from. There are others, you see, like myself, and you may be one of them, that find the similar need to express your artistic side in much the same way. We, and when I say we, I'm referring to the obsessives in our community, perhaps you, one of thriving intergalactic nerf herders racing from one ridiculous project to another and enjoying every blasted minute of it.
This is my prequel era comlink. The originals were made from a women's shaver. Mine is based in a different women's shaver, donated by my wife, utilizing the case and some of the parts. There's a 3D printed Universal Greebly, but the rest of the build is all found stock on hand bits. Look for part of a tent, part of a medicine dosage device, part of a pizza delivery, part of a deli tray, and part of a bubble wand, as well as some toy and model kit parts. No money was spent on this build. And there's room inside to add a tiny Bluetooth speaker. So thanks to the Smugglers Guild for the fun chat.
We find so much joy crafting these objects, these elaborate costumes we wear to conventions, or the models we meticulously obsess over every tiny detail, the room build that consumes us and that we often struggle to explain to the uninitiated, the props, the droids, the countless other pursuits, all in the name of Star Wars. You and I know it's because Star Wars brings us together, and it's helped us find our people.
We will start with a torch, a piece of colored acrylic, a length of tube, and this plastic bar holder texture thing, which we will cut the end of. Once assembled, some relays and an on switch will be added, and it will be complete. Sonic screwdriver.
Gadgets. 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 Gadgets.
I've spoken a lot around here, sometimes rambling on as I'm doing now for countless hours about texture of the universe, the passion for collecting toys, memorabilia, building droids, building rooms, and on I go. I simply cannot help myself. I am obsessed with Star Wars. Now, I don't say this with a distaste. It's not a negative. It's not an addiction I need to cure. I don't go to therapy over it. I'm not in an anonymous group where I stand up and say my name and follow it up with, it's been 3 days, 12 hours, and 31 minutes since I last indulged in Star Wars. No, I'm happy to be addicted to it. I had someone outside the community ask me recently why we spend so many hours doing this stuff. And yes, the word stuff had that sound to it, as if it tasted bad in their mouth and they couldn't wait to get it out. Just the phrasing made me wonder what it might be like to watch this person be thrown into a sarlacc pit and slowly digested over 1,000 years. This was someone who not only did not get it, but I also had the realization that there was nothing I could say that would help them understand, and I wasn't sure I wanted to. So I replied, "This is not the question you are looking for," as I waved my hand like a Jedi. Then I watched the confusion across their face as I walked away, and that brought a smuggler's grin to my lips. I did ponder the question though, to myself, wondering if I could honestly answer it. There is so much in our lives we spend time doing that we would rather not. It might be working a job that doesn't fulfill you, countless hours sitting in traffic, doing dishes, doing laundry, doing taxes. The list is nearly endless. That's where Star Wars comes in for me. And if you're watching this channel or even this episode, it's likely for you as well. It's an escape.
It is a halo projector. This model of halo projector dates to the late High Republic era. According to this manifest, it was recently found in a communication tower in Lothal. It seems to have been lovingly restored by a skilled slicer. I'm surprised to see this one still in operation. Yes, R2, I do believe it may be useful for the Resistance.
The Max Rebo Rebatizer starts with a basic tuner and metronome. We get the power out of there to operate LEDs. The Rebatizer was invented by Max Rebo to allow musicians from throughout the galaxy to perform together. This build was inspired by the recent prop build by the Junkyard Jedi.
As I said, Star Wars is an escape. And when it comes to the franchise, I can and do consume it all. Some I like more than others, hell, some I love to the core over others. But we'll get to my thoughts on our Star Wars menu in a bit. What I'm trying to convey is the fact that Star Wars actually exists. A man named George went against all odds to make his dream a reality. He created many aspects of it and then handed it off to others to make more. And no matter the opinions, good or bad, I think it makes my world infinitely more interesting. As a result of this, my passion for working with my hands in an artistic way has been improved. It, meaning Star Wars, has provided me with a lush universe to explore with my own creativity. By now you've seen what we've shared from others as well. They too have found a way to escape those other grinding things I mentioned. They gladly have shared their work with us so that we can share it with you. I hope you've been enjoying them. Maybe put a comment below letting these awesome geeks know you appreciated their work. I'm sure it would brighten someone's day. You see, I've always been a bit artistic. This just happens to be the type of art I'm drawn to. A painter might work in oils and watercolors. I use juice lids and hard drive motors. An odd choice, I'll give you that, but to create what others call trash, I call the used universe. And I thank Mr. Lucas for showing us the way. Is this too much? Am I waxing too philosophical while I desiccate this vintage toy, ruining its iconic design and undoubtedly sending some hit and missile command collector into a nerdtastic aneurysm as they frantically pound away at the keyboard to condemn me to an eternity of watching Battlefield Earth on repeat with only Pepto-Bismol as a refreshment? Maybe I've taken this thought experiment too far today. But it's May the 4th, right? It's the official holiday of Star Wars. So, if there was ever a day to explore the reasoning behind my obsession, and maybe, dear viewer, your obsession too, then today must be the day. I've been pondering both the appreciation and joy, as well as the darker side when it comes to the fandom. Spend any length of time reading through the comment section around the release of a new series or the making of a new film, and you're likely to see both the light and the dark side of the Force. I think it's easy for us to forget that the franchise is much like our favorite restaurant. We all love to get dressed up in our Friday night best and show up with a full appetite ready to be served. On the menu, you find your favorite dish. Somewhere between the grilled Minok and Ewok sauce and the beer can porg is where I find mine. Those at the table around me find theirs in a different way. There are so many variations to choose from, and everyone is happy to be there and be happy with their order, except maybe for your Uncle Fred, but let's face it, nothing makes that guy happy. You see, we're all here in our favorite restaurant called Star Wars. It has a full menu, and each of us are happy to be there together. Even if we're enjoying different dishes from the person beside us, we don't ridicule them, or at least we shouldn't. Sure, maybe there's an off comment. I can't believe you ordered the Bantha burger again. Can't you try something new? With the response of, I like what I like and no one's forcing you to like it. But hey, that couple's been married for 50 years and they poke at each other because that's what they do. That's the kind of fandom I want to be a part of. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes a dish comes out of the kitchen and it's a bit too spicy for me, or the tauntaun steak is a bit overcooked. However, I know I'll come back the next week and I can have an old favorite or maybe try something else that's new. I know if someone asks me for a recommendation, I will undoubtedly lead them the way because this is the way. I realize not everybody feels the same, and that the fandom around Star Wars can sometimes lead to a toxic nature, and that's really unfortunate. I don't expect this little video to change the way we all share our feedback on the subject, and I'm not expecting everyone to suddenly love everything from the franchise. Let's face it, sometimes you gotta call a sarlacc a sarlacc. Having said that though, perhaps the next time someone is eating a bad meal from your favorite restaurant and making sure everyone within earshot knows that the dewback ribs were not up to their standards, you might simply suggest another dish, or perhaps just move along. Either way, I hope you awesome geeks have an amazing Star Wars holiday, that you build something out of nothing, and may the Force be with you always.